Here are a couple of the inexpensive electronic bug swatters. They take 2D batteries in the handle, and you can either use them to kind of swat flies, or lots of times if there's anything that's crawling, I like to just lay it down over the top of them and then hit the little button and zap them to stop them from moving. Then I can pick them up and throw them away. At any rate, so there are two different types that I have run across, and they're pretty much identical except for a small difference, which is in the way that the head is held onto the handle. In the case of I'll call it the older ones that have been around for a few years, there are two small screws right here that hold the head and the handle together and clamp the two halves of the handle to each other, sandwiching the head in between. And the problem is that these screws are little tiny screws, and they're short, and they're only screwed into the back half of the handle. There's a tiny little boss in there that only a couple of threads can actually catch. If you hit something very hard, bang, 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 like that, you can actually break loose the little boss on the back side, and then the head comes loose and just flops. And worse than that, if you hit it really hard, you can pull the head out of the handle and tear off the electronic wires that go from the little screens in the head down to the electronic circuit board. And so what I'm going to do today is to show you my method of strengthening that joint. So again, here's the common electronic bug swatter. We usually buy ours at Harbor Freight, but I can see that they are available at many other stores and all over the internet. I like them, and they work pretty well. They are also pretty reliable as long as you don't whack them too hard against the wall or whatever you're trying to hit when you swat a bug. The issue is, again, that the joint where the head connects to the handle is pretty weak, with only a couple of small screws there. Well, there's a simple way to keep this problem from happening at all. I was able to fix one of them after it broke, but it's even better to keep the problem from ever happening in the first place, and I will now show you how to do it. So here are the tiny little screws that are holding this thing together, and you just see how short they are. And so I've taken one of what I call the newer style apart, and you can and the screw that we're dealing with comes through this hole from the back side, and then it screws into this boss here. I know that's hard to see, but there it is, that little plastic thing, and it doesn't go very deep in it because, again, the screws are so short. So we're just gonna drill right through that, and then put a nut and a bolt in there. Here I'm going to repair one of the newer style fly swatters, the one that's got two screws here and one here. I'm going to drill these out for a 632 screw using a number 29 drill bit. So I'll remove this screw and then drill the hole out to accept the longer screw and nut assembly. .632 by 1 inch long screw. I'm using one with a combination Phillips and flathead just because I had some. And 632 nut. 1/4" wrench to tighten up the nut. And I'm done. That's all there is to it. Here's the first one that I'm repairing because it broke. And this is the older style that's only got 2 screws, one here and one there. And this is the one that I'm going to drill through. That little tiny black piece, that's the little boss that broke off because the short little screw just pulled it away from the back side when somebody hit the wall with the head. Okay, I will now drill out this hole with a number 29 drill for a 632 by 1 inch long screw, machine screw. Okay, so doesn't look much different except there's now a hole in there. Put the screw through the hole. It sticks out the other side. And I put a nut on there. I suppose the screw could have been a little bit shorter, but that's okay. Tighten it up, and we're all done, and it's nice and stiff. This second screw here is still holding good, but just having that one alone let loose was enough to, for this particular one, for this to pull right out and break off the boss that I mentioned earlier. I don't know if you want to see it again or not, but I've got 2 old style and 2 new style here. And you see, it's not even necessary to take the thing apart to do this. Get out my trusty drill. Grab a new screw. Stick it in the hole. Attach nut. Snug it up good, and done.